Welcome to Health Today.
A program to inform you, entertain you and help you stay fit.
Today's highlights.
Smoking, what it does to you and persons around you. Our experts have some interesting insights.
And in our next section, Lifeline, we tell you how to give up smoking if you want to.
In our fitness section, Charu Sharma takes a closer look at aerobics.
And in Celebrity Close-Up, we have Jitendra, the evergreen hero, in the inspirational role of the good guy who gave up smoking. Nobody can be forced to give up smoking, but every intelligent person needs to know what it's all about. And that's why we have lined up all these experts here for you.
मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ाता चला गया हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ा
It certainly relaxes my nerves.
You have a good meal and you say, I'm smoking.
I'd rather have that one puff than not have the cigarette at all.
Now, when one takes one puff of cigarette, the constituents of a single cigarette include substances such as nicotine, which speeds the heart rate and increases the blood pressure.
Also, apart from nicotine, there's formaldehyde, there's nitrous oxide, which is used in gas chamber. There's hydrogen cyanide. There's also carbon monoxide, which nobody realizes that this carbon monoxide competes with the oxygen which we are inhaling, and so our body gets less oxygen.
No, it doesn't scare me at all because, I mean, if I'm going to live my whole life saying this might happen to me, I'm not going to be living my life at all. So I know finally a lot of things happen in a lot of different ways to a lot of different people.
And one thing about smokers, they think that other smoker may die of cancer, but not themselves.
The cigarettes that we smoke has a far higher concentration of tar. What we call tar has carcinogens and number of other substances which are initiators of cancer. These initiators remain in the cells dormant, but once they get a stimulus, then they start multiplying and the cancer starts growing.
I smoked myself nearly to death in the last 25 years, and I paid a very heavy price for it. After having undergone 2 surgeries for lung cancer within a period of 6 months, I came to realize the evils of smoking.
Well, I would hate to get cancer, and therefore I just feel that what is the percentage of people that get cancer because of smoking? If you take that percentage, then I don't think I'm top of the charts where that is concerned.
Yes, every smoker may not die of lung cancer, but there are other things like heart diseases are more common in smokers.
Smoking actually increases the thickness of the blood a little bit and increases the stickiness of the platelets. So the tendency to form clots becomes more.
I mean, I would turn a deaf ear. If I had somebody who was trying to give me a lecture on something that I didn't want to listen to, I would simply not listen. And at the same time, it just depends on how the person is putting it across to me.
There is no condition in the world where a smoking can be recommended. Smoking has got a deleterious effect on every organ of the body, starting from brain, eyes, throat, chest, heart, blood vessels, stomach. Whether it's an ulcer, whether there's obstruction of the blood vessels, whether there's a heart attack, whether there's a cancer of the throat, you name it, and smoking is always can be implicated in case a man has been a heavy smoker.
None of that is news to me, and I've known it all along, and yet I smoked. I gave up smoking a couple of years ago. After all, I cannot preach to my patients not to smoke if I am a smoker.
And people who are smoking also are always tired, they get prematurely wrinkled, and they become old. And as you know that cigarette smoking can produce impotency. There are a lot of people, impotencies, like in people who have impotence, 60 to 70% of people are heavy cigarette smokers.
It's not that I'm illiterate as per the repercussions that could take place because of smoking. I read that sign on that packet every time I buy a packet. But I don't think I would give it up overnight. I enjoy it too much.
This nicotine, what it does is, while the level is up, the patient feels nice and fresh. As soon as the level starts going down, the people want to smoke another cigarette. So it becomes a continuous affair that just to keep that nicotine level high, people smoke.
For me, it started more as a social smoker or a show-off smoker. Thereafter, it became a habit. Then it became a dependence.
Even when I'm not thinking about smoking, I look at an ad and I start thinking about smoking, which makes me smoke.
Advertisement people are very clever, I think. They are trying to attract more people to smoke.
Why have that ad roll? If the ad is not there, I wouldn't be thinking about the cigarette.
So I just find that one cigarette will cool me down and it comforts me.
When one takes a smoke, first of all, the temperature which is there in the cigarette starts irritating the upper respiratory tract mucous membranes. As this smoke travels down, 70 to 90% of it is retained in the upper and lower respiratory tract when the inhalation of the smoke is done. And also, the constant smoking stops the movement of cilia, which are hair-like substances in the respiratory tract. So when this ciliary movement is disturbed and paralyzed, even by one cigarette inhalation, the substances which ought to be thrown out from the atmosphere are getting into the bronchial tubes, which are going to constantly irritate them.
Sounds dreadful, but who listens?
मुझे मालूम है सिगरेट पीना स्वास्थ्य के लिए हानिकारक है.
फिर आप पीते क्यों हैं?
Just passing the time.
Initially, I made several attempts to cut down smoking, but they were all half-hearted attempts. I wish there was a safe limit.
There is no such thing as safe limit. For simple reason is that when you smoke one cigarette, you're losing 5 minutes of your life. And I don't think that is safe.
Most common smoking substance here is BD, not cigarette. And there may be a lot of misconception about that BD is not as harmful as cigarette.
For a gram of tobacco, you make one cigarette, but you make 4 or 5 BDs. But in spite of that, because the type of tobacco which is grown and used for BD making has inherently inside a much larger proportion of these toxic substances. At the same time, the way in which BD is prepared, it is wrapped in a tendu leaf. They are not very porous like the paper, with the result that they delivered a far greater concentration of these toxic substances to the individual who smoked.
About 630,000 adult individuals in India die every year prematurely due to tobacco. Now, I don't know whether the numbers can affect somebody very much, but let us imagine that there are 4 jumbo jets fully loaded that are crashing down every day in India and killing people.
What I would say to the viewers is that I am young and therefore it hasn't affected me. I exercise, I work it off, I swim. Swim is the best form of exercise for your lungs. So there's a sort of balancing act that I do. It's not something that I would encourage people to do, no. Because it's not something to be boastful about. It's just, it's a preference, it's a choice.
Okay, you've heard it all. Maybe it's got you thinking. You can live for the moment, either by smoking, or live for the moment the way I am living it, by giving up smoking and leading a fresher life full of energy, life full of vitality, life, I swim better, I play better sports now, I feel more energetic, and every day I feel healthier and better and better and better.
I've done it many times too, but I think this time has been the longest. And I suppose the resolve this time is much stronger.
One fine day on New Year's Eve, I decided to quit smoking. It was really agonizing. The first few days were miserable. One tended to get very irritable, very short-tempered. You can ask my family, my mother, my wife. You tend to lose your temper at the slightest of things. Small things tend to irritate you, especially as these nicotine withdrawals sort of get your system after 3 or 4 or 5 days. It really becomes very, very difficult.
You get this urge to, let me take one cigarette. What harm can one cigarette do?
Willpower was the most important thing which helped me to give it up. And I tried bubble gums and I tried lozenges and sweets and come what may to help tide over the crisis.
I managed to satisfy by using a mint.
One fine day, my cavity came out while chewing bubble gum, and I thought that was the end of my bubble gum as well.
You have to give yourself a very strong reason for stopping. You have to literally psych yourself into stopping.
Am I really enjoying myself when I'm smoking? Or can I do something else which I could enjoy better? And that really hit me. It said, no, I'm not really enjoying myself.
You may not realize it. You know, it affects the way that you climb your stairs. You know, 5 years later, I don't want to be, you know, panting after I climb two flights of stairs.
Before I tell you how I did it, here are some of the methods used.
We have a program which is what we help people how to stop smoking. The basic most important thing for this program is that person himself must want to quit.
One fine day, you know, you have to make this resolve that I'm going to stop from today and never touch a cigarette again.
Everybody can't do that. There are some people, what we ask them to do is start phasing out smoking. We make them, in this program we have a group of people coming to us for 1 hour session and one moderator sitting with them and first explaining to them. The first week what we do to them is give them a paper and say, every time you smoke, you write it down. Write the time, write what you're doing at that time and why did you smoke, a reason for smoking. And over a period, 8 days, we find out a pattern in that person.
You have those regular times you smoke, no? Times, for example, after grub, you have a good meal and you say, ah.
Now, most important thing is people who stop like cold turkey stopping is more effective than gradual reduction. But there are certain 10 to 20% of people who require help. And for these people, we have this smoking intervention program. Then we give them chewing gums, nicotine gum, we give them a nicotine patch. All these are only for a small group of people. And the most important period for stopping smoking is the first 1 month.
And that temptation to just go out and have one cigarette like it's enough.
Some people, they quit smoking for 3 months, they come back, again they quit, again they come back, and they find that one particular day that they've just stopped smoking. So this thing of relapse rate should be encouraged to the people. They should not give up.
Acupuncture helps to increase the willpower of the body. At the same time, it helps to detoxify the body of nicotine or alcohol. The most important point is the lowermost point, which we call the tonsil point. And this point, you know, is the lowermost point on the lobe. And if I always say, press it and release it, you know, sort of press it and release it. In fact, I always tell them to pull the lower lobe of the ear when they want to smoke, is to really pull your ear and it reminds them a little.
We have cured many patients by detoxifying the system, by giving them certain kind of diet which is full of vitamins. Our philosophy says you can cure all the diseases but not all the patients because they are impatient.
At every 5-year interval of giving up smoking, the return of the organs to their normal activities starts improving.
When I'm smoking regularly, say a packet I smoke, I feel duller. I don't feel dull now.
I'd say at the end of 15 years of non-smoking, you almost become as risk-free as a non-smoker had been at the beginning.
I'm well on my way to that. Believe me, there's only one way to give up smoking, and that is to quit completely.
It's almost like climbing a mountain. You know, there's this hurdle. You could never do this before. Since I've stopped many times before. I could never manage to stop. Now I have. And that feels good.
It was Jane Fonda who put aerobics on the world map.
Yes, but we are increasingly hearing voices of dissent from people with injured backs and knees.
Is it because aerobics is bad? Or is it because the rules are not being followed properly? Charu Sharma takes a closer look.
What is aerobics? What are some of its indisputable benefits? Can it harm you? And what makes it so popular? And also, curiously, why do so many aerobics classes seem to attract the prettiest women around?
Aerobics is a set of exercises which, when performed continuously for at least 20 minutes, boosts your oxygen intake capacity, amongst other things. There are many kinds of aerobic exercises which offer similar benefits, such as swimming, walking, jogging, rowing, and others. So why would you choose aerobics?
For me, I think the important thing is it's such a comprehensive, all-round exercise where you're able to exercise every single area of your body, and I think that's what makes it far more beneficial than anything else.
Well, a lot of reasons actually. Besides the obvious benefits of weight loss, inch loss, muscle toning, etc., people use aerobics as really a group activity. I mean, people meet a lot of friends when they come to class.
And then again, why would some people not choose aerobics?
No, I don't like aerobics. I tried it very briefly for a month maybe, but I didn't think it suited me because I found that you were developing bulk with it.
As opposed to aerobics, training really gives you the definition in your body, muscles, which you don't get with aerobics. But I don't prefer aerobics because you do lose weight, but you don't get the shape you really want. It's just flat. It's not toned muscle.
If you do wish to go in for aerobics, here are some of the most important features to look for in a class before joining up.
As far as technical inputs go, you should definitely work on a suspended wooden floor because that's going to absorb impact. The air movement system, you should pay special attention to. Lots of fresh air because you need a lot of oxygen. Air conditioner, especially the window units, are just recycling air. Music. The most important input of all is experienced personnel.
If you haven't yet been to an aerobics class, this is what the routine should contain.
You should have a warm-up. You should have cardiorespiratory exercises. You should have flexibility exercises. You should have strength development or muscle toning. And you should have a cool down.
All that's the good news. Now, since we are all built differently and may have different needs, the crucial bit is, can the same class benefit all?
We have a lot of people with health problems, for example, knee problems, specific back injuries, asthma, arthritis. Now, depending on what they really need, what their goals are, what their limitations are, and what their needs finally are, they're individually guided before. For example, somebody with a knee problem or somebody with arthritis would be staying low impact.
The buzzword may be aerobics, but the watchword is careful, or it could harm you just as easily as it can help.
Well, I think it has been the skeletal pounding nature of high-impact aerobics that has given aerobics a bad name, if I may say so, in the past.
From a very, very high impact aerobics, we've realized the harm it's done to our bodies, and so we've now toned it down a lot.
Well, that's about the full picture. As an exercise form, aerobics is very justifiably popular. Excellent returns on various fitness factors. Great cardiovascular benefits, fat loss, flexibility, with some muscle toning benefits thrown in. Keep a very sharp lookout for injuries to the lower limbs and back, which can be largely avoided if you ensure a very gradual beginning, set unambitious goals, have access to a floor that gives a bit, find a small class offering personalized attention. And, oh yes, about why are so many pretty women into aerobics?
I guess it's because all the beautiful women want to stay looking beautiful, and they know that if you want to look like a fox, you have to sweat like a pig.
Part of the secret of Jitendra's action-packed life could be that he gave up smoking early enough. Meet the 30-plus hero.
When you get up in the morning, you should feel fresh. You should feel as if now you're charged to take care of your routine for the day. And when you finish the routine for the day, you should be as charged as you left your house in the morning.
So before he goes home, let's catch hold of Jumping Jack GT and find out how he keeps himself charged for the day.
Actually, I'm no authority to talk about all these things. And every time people ask me this question, I feel very embarrassed. It looks as if I'm going to talk something about myself and trying to show off as if, look how I've looked after myself.
He sure has looked after himself. How old is he?
Now that's for you to decide and guess.
What keeps jumping Jitu jumping? Is it women?
Of course, they are a big inspiration. If you want to be admired by women, then you have to keep yourself fit. They will not like you to be paunchy and sloppy, right? So I started sweating, started jogging. I sweated for about 40-45 minutes every day. I start with small, normal jog, then I start wriggling, and then I start shaking, then I do all kinds of movements. But I was very embarrassed to do it in front of this camera.
Is jogging enough to stay fit? Or is there something else?
I used to be about 85-86 kilos. I was taking a lot of aerated water, like Coke was very popular that time. I used to have 5-6 Cokes. Then I used to have a lot of butter, bread, and a lot of deep fried food. I cut down on all those things. I stopped those samosas, bhajiyas, and those sweet dishes. I started taking tea without sugar. I started feeling good. I came down to 72, 73. My main food is grilled food. I try to take a lot of green vegetables. Before meals, I stuff myself with a lot of greens. And so by the time I come on the dining table, I'm not starved, so I don't tend to eat more.
But when you're acting and on the set, then how do you manage?
Since the day one, when I started working in films, I used to carry my dabba. In my dabba, there is cottage cheese, there is paneer, then there is half tandoori chicken, and then there's some greens are there. One should drink as much as water as possible in a full day.
Finally, how did you give up smoking?
That thing is totally sheer willpower. 18 years ago when my daughter was born, I used to smoke about 100 cigarettes a day. My wife was telling me, the way you're coughing, I don't think you last long enough to look after your baby. I was a chain smoker, so I was smoking at that minute. I put the cigarette off, I said, no more smoking.
Do you have any tips for our viewers on, what they should... You've given us
Basically, I have no right to give tips. You made me go through this interview, which I have no right to do. It looks like I'm bragging about myself, and I've just spoken certain questions which you asked, but I will not give any tips. Whatever I've spoken, if there are any tips in that, take it. Okay? Kara liya mere se.
It's time to say goodbye.
Keep writing. Your letters are our lifeline. Till next week then, stay happy.
And keep healthy.